Welcome, everyone. I know that people are coming in. Some people were waiting in the waiting room, so we decided to open it up. It's really exciting to see everybody popping in. And just like last time, you guys can use the chat today. Feel free. We want this to be collaborative and fun. Right, Tim?
That's right.
Oh, I love it. It's going to be fun. I've been waiting for this all weekend. I was so excited. Tim and I were working on it last night. It was pretty fun just to see all the great ideas. So we're really excited to share today. And um, just like I said, use the chat if you want to say hi to everybody. And I have a question that we'll put up in just a little bit, and we'll be kind of sharing in there too. And let us know if you guys are coming to AASL. That's right around the corner. I mean, we're going to be there before we know it, like in 2 weeks, right? From today, from this week. 3 weeks, 2 weeks, 2 weeks from this week, 2 weeks from Thursday. So that's exciting. I'm excited about that.
I'm really looking forward to doing it.
Yeah, I am too. We get in on Wednesday night, and I'm so excited because my sister is coming. And so that makes me really happy, and I can't wait. A lot of people from Iowa are coming because it's so close for us that we can, drive in just a few hours. So that makes me happy. I love seeing all the people. We'll probably get started in about a minute, but feel free to use the chat today. And when you come in, say hi to everybody. I'm sure we'll have lots of familiar faces from last week too. And so can't even wait to see where everybody's from. I'm going to check for a minute and see. I love it. Just
Yeah,
with
I
people.
recognize some of these names.
I know, I love it. It's
I
so
want
fun.
to I want to know more of them.
I know. Yeah, everybody pop in and say hello. Yeah, lots of people. So great.
Yeah, and just tell us where you're from.
Hi, Joyce. See Joyce. So fun. I can't wait to see Joyce in just a couple weeks. So I'm so excited.
I got to meet her for the first time at ALA this last summer.
Oh, good. She'll be there. We're presenting together, so it will be fun. Well, how about we get started? I think that will be good. So, welcome to our webinar. We're so excited, and I'm sure more people will be popping in, but we're going to go ahead and get started on webinar 2 of our new series with Capstone Library Tips, Tricks, and Treats. And this one is going to be all about advocating for your library. So we're really excited to share today. Now, as we get going, I just wanted to do a few little housekeeping. Make sure you use the chat to ask us anything, and we're going to answer questions at the end of the webinar. And if there are questions too that we don't get to, we'll make sure that we address them in our next webinar or in an email. So I'll share more at the end too. It's being recorded. You're going to get the link after today's session along with the slides, so you'll have everything that you need. And also you can join the conversation by like tweeting or whatever it's called now on X or Blue Sky or Instagram, and use Capstone Pub. And both Tim and I are on social too, so you can reach out to us there. But we're excited to kick this off and just be able to have everybody here today. Also, remember that we're going to provide you with a certificate of participation. So you'll get that too with the webinar recording. But my name is Shannon McClintock Miller. I am the district teacher librarian at Van Meter Community School in Iowa. I also serve as the Future Ready Librarians leader and capstone champion and author. And you can find me on X and Instagram and Blue Sky at Shannon M. Miller. And I blog at the Library Voice. And I'm really thrilled today to have my dear friend Tim Jones. join me as well. And I'm going to let you introduce yourself.
All right, so I'm Tim Jones. I'm a teacher librarian in Louisville, Kentucky. I'm at John F. Kennedy Elementary. This is my third year at that school. This year, I was humbled to be named the 2025 School Library Journal School Librarian of the Year. Last year, I was named a Library Journal Mover and Shaker, and the year before that, Media Literacy Teacher of the Year. I'm also a business co-owner and started a development. I've developed a line of library advocacy merch, and so that will be at our booth 424 if you are going to ASL. But it's there as a bit.ly too if you're not making it to the conference. I'm working on a book. It is behind schedule, but it should be out in 2026. And you can follow me on all the socials there. But yeah, just come find me at AASL if you're going to be there.
I love it. I can't even wait for your book. I think that's just so exciting. But as I said, we are excited to welcome you back to our webinar series, and we can't wait just to be able to talk today about advocacy. But when we think about the work that we did in the last week from last week's webinar, when Heather and I challenged you to try one new thing, I would love for everybody to put in the chat just to say like what you did. Maybe you found an idea. Maybe you ordered. I had so many people ask about the bookmark holder. Maybe you ordered that and got it set up. Anything that you would like to share, one new thing that you did last week, and drop it into the chat just to get the conversation going. We would love to hear what you did and to celebrate the work that you're doing in your libraries too. And so feel free to use the chat to do that. I think that will be really fun. And one thing I wanted to do is just to address a few questions that came up over the last week from our webinar. Number one question from the webinar last week was, where did you get that bookmark holder? And I got it on Amazon. And so I got it on Amazon. The bookmarks were from Demco. Those coloring ones that were Dogman, those are from Demco. But this is the little bookmark holder that I got. I just ordered it on Amazon. And so you'll get the link to the slides at the end of our session today, and I linked it in the slides. So you'll be able to click on that and get the little link. The other question that I wanted to put this in here, I had a lot of questions on how to create the custom carousels in Destiny Discover. And so I put a post in here, and you'll be able to click on this and get all the directions on how to make those carousels in Destiny Discover if you have a question about those two. And feel free to reach out and ask me as well. I also wanted to address a couple questions about funding. And so people asked a lot of questions last week and also emailed me, how do I get authors to come? And also like, how do I fund these ideas? And so authors, if they're on Zoom, or like used to be on Skype, I have never paid for an author that's come virtually. And so an author visit might be like 15, 20 minutes long, and most authors will do those for free. And so it's great because a lot of them like just donate their time to be able to meet quickly with kids. And then we have a parent group at Van Meter, and I've also used book fair money for a lot of my like programming too that we have, and just try to work with authors. This year, I'm actually trying to find a lot of local Iowa authors, and I want to have more like author visits at our school this year. And so I've been really lucky to find some really great ones that don't have to travel, like they can drive and they're local. And then also working with your bookstores. And so we have a lot of independent bookstores. We also have a really great Barnes and Noble close by, and they're great at supporting authors coming too. And so just kind of different ways. But feel free to keep asking questions today. Oh, one other question was, what platform do you create choice boards in? And usually I use Google. So Google Slides. So those were kind of the top questions that I I wanted to make sure that we addressed today. But just like last time, we're going to have one lucky winner that's going to be announced at the end of today's webinar. And then remember, if you attend all four of them, you're going to be entered to win a special grand prize, a Halloween party pack, because our last one is the week of Halloween. And so I can't even wait. If you've attended all of them, you get entered into the Halloween party pack. So that's really fun too. But in this session today, we're going to talk about just some practical advice and some ideas that we have to show your impact and share your story and align with your school goals. And so, really quick, this is our agenda that we're going to tackle today. And Tim and I are just excited to share things that we have gathered from our own work, but also ideas from others too. So the first thing is just defining advocacy in the school library. And as the AASL Advocacy Committee defines advocacy as the ongoing process of building partnerships so that others will act for and with you, turning passive support into educated action for the library. And this all begins with a vision and a plan for our library program, and also thinking about not just our library and the work that we do, but our whole school and how it matches the priorities of our stakeholders. And so that's important to think about that as well.
We also just want to talk about how advocacy is really just telling your library's story so that everybody in your community, all the stakeholders, they understand its impact on student learning, on equity, on just the entire school culture. And advocacy really just goes beyond defending the library. It's not just when library is in the news. It's also about proactively aligning your work with student outcomes and district priorities. Advocacy is also both self-advocacy as a librarian and program advocacy. So you're advocating for both yourself and the program, just for the library's role in student success.
We also think about how we align with our school and district goals. And this is when we talk about our stakeholders, that's why it is so important. And I remember when I first started in the library at Van Meter, not really having a clue what I was doing. And the first thing I did though was I thought I need to align our program with what's happening in our school. And so one of the first ways to advocate within your district to get the support too of your admin, of your school board, of your teachers, is to make sure that your goals and mission of the library always align with the school and district goals. And when I look at not only what we have for our mission and our strategic plan, I have changed my mission statement and what we do for our library and our plan many, many times over the last 19 years, but always making sure that we align to that, to those goals and to what their vision and mission is as well.
And just kind of piggybacking on what Shannon was saying, framing is also key. Framing advocacy around student success measures that administrators are already valuing. Look at what they value. They look at literacy. They look at equity. They look at SEL. They look at a lot of different things. So if you can use district terminology and their priorities with your own messaging, that's going to go a lot further. So, for example, linking database usage to college and career readiness, linking anything else that you're already doing to things that are priorities for grad men.
Now, when you said that yesterday, Tim, when you were working on the slides, and I saw that, it's something that always sticks out in my head when I think about our goals, like our curriculum that we have for our library program. And a few years ago, when Iowa said, hey, we're adding computer science standards and they're required, I didn't even skip a beat. And even though it was a big undertaking, I added that as part two of our library and our curriculum that we have through technology and computer science. But again, aligning to those vision points and those competencies of our school and how we can, just bring it all together and support, even though sometimes it's really overwhelming, but to be able to advocate for what we can do. Another thing that stood out, one thing that you said was even talking about things like career readiness and kind of those buzzwords that our administrators and our teachers and all of us are thinking about. And this year, when I put together even our resource toolbox, when I was thinking about the tools that we put in there, even going to put like it's a creation tool. You can use it for research, you can use it for coding, but putting all those things together into one spot to really show like what we can do with our library program and the tools that we have that we can bring together. We also have our standards from AASL, other standards too that we follow, but it's really important and essential to show the success of students and curriculum and district outcomes through the AASL standards, future ready librarians, the ISTE standards, NGSS, and more. And these are great crosswalks that are really helpful within your advocacy efforts that will be great to use too.
And just positioning the library just in general as a hub for district solutions is going to really help you to advocate. Uh, so connecting with district and state advocacy networks. Everybody has, most of us have, like in Kentucky, I have the Kentucky Association of School Librarians. A lot of you all have your own state library network. So there, AASL, every library, others, just to kind of stay informed, amplify what we need to amplify. But then also just making school board relationships, directly engaging with the boards and state orgs to strengthen that alignment. And then just positioning your library as a solution space by aligning with district initiatives. For example, family engagement is really important, SEL, and technology equity, and so many other things that district initiatives. There's constantly new district initiatives. So making sure that you're again valuing what they're valuing.
One thing that I make sure that I do too when we're talking about to like school board or we're talking about parent groups is to make yourself seen. And even though I get nervous every year when the school board asks me to come, I never say no, right? Or the parent groups. And that means the world to them. And it's definitely a great advocacy piece to be able to make connections any way that you can throughout the year. Another thing is to show your impact with evidence and start by finding ways to show the impact that school librarians have within library, schools, and community by things that are already out there. AASL has put together so many great like infographics and tools that we can use. These are all linked that you can use too in your advocacy efforts, but showing how we can transform learning, how we can support our learners. And these speak volumes to what librarians do, not just within our framework that we have as librarians, but also across the entire school. And always make sure that you align this evidence with the AASL standards and with school-wide learning priorities through the framework by using the common beliefs that are provided by AASL. And I love this. I was on the Massachusetts State School Librarian site the other day because I'm going to MassCUTE in a few weeks. And I thought this infographic was so great what they did to show why every school needs a school librarian. And they took the shared foundations and they made this really simple infographic that is great for all of us to use as something that we can share in our advocacy within our state and also within our schools too. Another one that I've shared many times within our school and other places is just how school libraries build strong students. And this is all about, learning and what we can do, how we can even support at home and in career and college readiness. So you can grab that too, because it's really great to be able to use that. I mentioned Future Ready Librarians a few minutes ago, and we have this to guide our work too. And this is great because we can really show our evidence of impact in so many ways. If it is leading from the library, if it's those community partnerships, if it's working with our administrators through budget and resources. And I'm excited because at AASL in 2 weeks, it's actually going to be on that Thursday, we are sharing our newly updated 3.0 version, and that is going to include so many great things that will really show even more of the impact that we can have right now on things that are going on within our schools and education.
Another way that we can advocate is by looking at our at data and using budget data as statements of value. So, for example, you can tie funding requests or expenditures to school priorities. Um, I also highly recommend regularly collecting and sharing data like circulation statistics or the numbers. If you notice that they're coming up, make sure that you blast that out. Is the database usage, is it going up? And if you have any good stories to tell with data, make sure that you're blasting that out. Student reading growth, program participation, anything that you can think of that's going to help there. And I would also recommend pairing statistics with stories.
Hmm.
So using stories plus statistics. So for example, um, next slide, like a testimonial from a student or a teacher combined with hard numbers um, can create really powerful evidence. Some people are just they're just numbers people, but like and some people are really, really into anecdotes. But if you compare those two together, you're going to have a much better chance of getting their attention. So telling stories that spotlight student voices, whether it's quotes from a student or it's projects or book clubs that excite them, um, teacher collaboration outcomes. If you've worked with teachers a lot and like you're seeing a whole lot of progress in their classes, spotlight that with those stories, or having even teachers share in um, telling those stories, and then just community engagement with events and partnerships that you have going on. And then also just showcasing equity and access outcomes. We want to highlight how the library program closes gaps. For example, are there literacy gaps that you're closing? Have you been working with them on research? And so you're closing some research skill gaps. Technology, have you identified areas in the collection where you could add diversity and you added diversity in the collection? Have you close gaps in inclusion? Have you made it a more welcoming space? How have you done that? So if you can show that those sorts of highlights, especially with stories along with data, that would be really, really helpful in terms of advocating for your library program.
The next thing we want to talk about is how can we share our stories? And I think that it is so important for us to be seen. And I always like to think that if we're not sharing our story, then somebody else is going to. And so we want to make sure that we're constantly sharing, that from the beginning of the year, we're sharing and we're celebrating and shouting out like what we can do, how we can support our teachers, how we can support our kids and our families and our community, and sharing it on social, if it is on Instagram, if it's on X or Blue Sky, wherever your community is. And one thing that I always like to think of too is share it on multiple channels, because you have some people who are on Facebook, you have lots of families who are on Instagram. And so make sure that you're sharing it. And also not just sharing it on social, but through a newsletter, because you might have families who maybe don't use social media. And so make a flyer, make it digital, but also print it off to those who want to pick it up from either the office or from maybe even in a backpack where you send it home, and make sure that you can have that news and the important things that they need too, that they might want to use at home handy, and something that they can see what you're doing within your library. Another thing too is when you're sharing on social, make sure you use some of these hashtags like future ready librarians or libraries transform and school librarian. That is important because we can see too what others are doing within their communities. And I always love seeing like what Tim and others share. And so it's really great to be able to find some of those common things that we want to look at as well. And then make sure that in your school and district that you share it with maybe your principal or your secretary so they can share it too, for board reports, any way that you can, so that news can be heard throughout the week and throughout the year as well. And like I said, I share on multiple social. It doesn't take long to share on multiple places. And we have a similar feel and a similar look to all these places. So we make sure that that's like a common message. But then making sure that you take that and you share that news with your community. When I do my newsletters, I share it from our library things and then I share it from our school too, and make sure that it's always shared with our board, our families, our teachers, and our kids so they can see that as well.
Students can be some of our best advocates because they see some of the stuff that we're doing, and they're excited. When everybody else knows that our students are excited, that's the best testimony that I think that you can get. So student library ambassadors, if they have if you have student created testimonials, or even like comics or videos that have let kids be the advocates for your space. Also, family advocacy in general, it can be very, very helpful. Parents, they can help uh, blast out the library impact at PTA. Um, they can share at the school board or district or at the district level. So those sorts of conversations are really, really important from parents and caregivers. And then humble brags, using humble brags. So I think I saw in the chat that um, Rain is in there. I'm going to be presenting with her at the Idea Lab at ASL 25. And so some of these ideas, she is here. Yeah, she just wrote that. So uh, yeah, come by our Idea Lab. We have a lot more ideas than what's on this slide here. Um, but just take a few minutes of your time and come see us. We want you to we want to help you learn how to highlight things like award nominations or grants or presentations as things that are not ego, they're advocacy. Um, like sometimes we get really nervous about sharing some of the things that we're doing, but nobody else knows what we're doing unless we share. Another thing that you can do is just creating like a brag board in your library or a digital portfolio of highlights that just kind of showcase some of these success stories. And like I said, we've got all kinds of templates for you at ASL if you come visit us. We've got like press releases and all kinds of other templates that you can use to like help promote yourself and your library. Hashtags that you can follow. Shannon mentioned a few hashtags earlier, but we have like a whole list of people you can follow, hashtags you can use. So yeah, come see us.
I really like your hashtag for the conference too. Humble
Rain
brag.
came up with that.
It's perfect, Rain. I love it. I love it. I can't wait for that. So now for some quick advocacy tips and tricks. And there are so many, so we're excited to share a few. And please feel free to share them in the chat too if you have some.
Oh, this is me. All right. So, quick moves. I'm not too quick here. Quick moves and lasting impact. So, just kind of writing and rehearsing an elevator speech about your library program for quick conversations. Some of us are pretty quick at coming, like talking off the cuff. Some of us, we need to rehearse a little bit more because when we get nervous in front of people, I've been on both sides. Sometimes I've been able to be off the cuff. Sometimes I needed to be a little more prepared. So, I would always encourage preparation if you have the time to do that. It's worth your time to write and rehearse something. Celebrating wins publicly, already kind of mentioned that, but successful events that you have, as well as awards and grants, and making sure that you mention and tag admin and partners and any other stakeholders that might need to see it. That's really important at having some lasting impact with your celebrating your wins, and then building and maintaining a PLN to amplify your advocacy and share resources beyond your own school. And so, again, that's also going to be at the Humble Brag Idea Lab session. So, and then consistency is key. So, there's some things you can do on a daily, weekly, and monthly basis. You can use daily themes that others do. Hashtag First Page Friday, others that other people are using. That helps make social media posting easy and consistent. You can post one celebratory update a week on social media. Like, let's say you can't do it every day, maybe you can do it once a week and just kind of celebrate something that is happening. Um, I know I've gotten burnout on social media at times, and so I can't do it every single day. It's whatever you can do with the energy that you have. And so you can use hashtags like great school libraries or libraries are for everyone. Or you could just share monthly impact snapshots. Again, like there's no wrong or right way, but like the more you can do, the better. These monthly impact snapshots, if you share those with admin, if they see the circulation, the programs you're doing, the upcoming events, they get really excited. So really highly advocate for consistency in blasting.
One thing that I love to do too is not only to share on social, but also to make sure that I get into a lot of other newsletter and places. And so we have our parent group for a lot of the things that we do in our library. And so anything that we do and we use it, like our chomp saw workshop is our big new thing that we got funded from our VMEPC. We got it from STEMfinity this last spring. And so I have been taking it to the classrooms to do all kinds of fun projects, but sharing those pictures so they can get it into their newsletters too, because that's what they are raising money for and supporting us for. And so any way we can cross promote across the district is always a good thing. Also, making sure that when we have special things like School Library Month, for example, is always in April. Don't be shy. Just like Tim said earlier, you're not bragging, you're celebrating and sharing all the great work that we do as school librarians because so many people they don't know what school librarians can all do. And so this is a choice board that you can grab too. There's a link in the slide and share this with your district. Share it with your families and with your teachers and share it online and make sure that you are celebrating and sharing and just thinking of all the ways that you can help. Another thing is to make sure your library is welcoming 100% of the time to everyone. And I always ask myself this, like, is it friendly? Is it clean? Is it open? Is it a place that they can come and they can count on help and someone to talk to about books and life? Like that's our main goal, right? And all these other things that we have, and Tim mentioned this a few minutes ago, do what you feel comfortable with when it comes to sharing and what you have the energy and the time to do. But one of the best things to remember is your library space and your kids. Like that's number one, and you. And so always make sure that you're putting that first and just remember ways to advocate for your readers and reading and books. And every day I go to school and I think about that first. And even though today I was frustrated with a 3D printer and some other things about technology, I just took a break and I focused on the books for a while. And this always brings me a lot of joy. And so remember to just find different ways to advocate constantly for your readers and what you're doing. I wanted to put a little plug in here for what Capstone sends out too. Twice a month, they send these really great little helpful like tips. They're newsletters with all kinds of ideas from books to little crafts to different things that we can use. And this is really helpful because it gives us so many ideas just for our collection and displays and special events. And so look for things like that too, because our publishers and Capstone and others are there to help us and to support us. And we can find so many ways to just be able to pull in those advocacy things that we need as well. So, advocacy includes connecting, communication, and collaboration. And these things are going to come together to support and amplify your advocacy efforts throughout the year. And we can't wait to see how you advocate for your library and your work this year. I'm so excited to be at AASL with all of you and with Tim just here and to see all the great things that we're doing and to come away with just more ideas that we have that we can take back to our library. And hopefully, you guys can take back a lot of ideas from today's session too. We want to make sure that we have enough time today too for questions because last time we had a lot and I don't want to zip through them. And so we're going to let Gina share any questions that there might be.
Yes, so we have a few questions. The first one is, what layout or design do you use to create your flyers and digital info?
That's a good one. So, I love using Book Creator. I love using and I love using Canva to do them. And then sometimes I even just use like I might smash them up together and use it too. And even just like a Google slide or something. And so the hardest thing for me is every year kind of landing on a template that then I can use over and over again because once you have a template, it's really easy to pop in like new information every month. And you don't have to spend so much time thinking about like colors and design and all that. But even in Canva, if you put in like library newsletter or high school library newsletter, whatever you might be looking for, you can find tons of ideas that you can take then and use.
Thanks, Shannon. The next question is it says sharing activities, resources, and events are great and encourage usage, but the administration and the school board want data to show how these actions impact student growth. What data do you gather?
Do you want to take this one, Tim?
Yeah, so back on one of the slides, I talked about like some of the budget data. So anything that you can sort of connect to things that you are doing in the library, any circulation data, if you keep up with the number of people who are coming in and out of your library, if you're keeping up with how many teachers you're collaborating with a semester or a quarter, any major projects, like anything that you can turn from a story into a number. There's so many things that we do. We just think of it in terms of, we're doing this thing, but like so many things can just be broken down into just numbers. And so the more things you can just kind of break down into numbers, like maybe you posted 5 times on Instagram, that could be a number. Um, you've had 8 newsletters, that could be a number. So as many different numbers as you can to like just show like what you're doing. I know a lot of administrators who are like they're really firm on just seeing that something that they can put into a spreadsheet. So
One thing that I like that you said too is the collaboration. And that is one thing that, especially now, I think is so important, like to show the impact that we have on student learning. And, how many times have you used PebbleGo? How many times have you done a research project with your second grade? How many times have you used, a certain tool that you might have? And that helps too as you advocate not only for your role, but even like with purchasing, the next year. Like, these are the statistics of how many kids like researched in PebbleGo or how many kids used a certain tool. And that's something that's really helped me because I keep good track of those things too.
Great. The next question that we have is, it says, I often feel so overwhelmed with everything that it takes to make a library awesome. Building lessons and standards, making sure kids have time to choose books along with the lesson, all the book displays, bulletin boards, social media. How do you keep from just burning out on all of it?
That is a great question. I mean, I all of us feel burnout, right? Like sometimes people will say, like, aren't you tired and burnout? Yes, everybody gets burnout, but do what makes you feel good. Some weeks I am like on a roll, and then other weeks I just need a break. And that's okay. That is okay to do. Um, like I said, today was one of those days that I had a lot of things going on, but then I just kind of took a step back and spent time with some new books and sharing them with kids. And I think like giving ourselves permission to also not be so, overwhelmed with some of those big things is also okay sometimes. And asking for help. Find yourself someone in your school or someone in your network. Like mine, I shared this last week, is my sister. She's a librarian too. And Heather and I, we talk a lot about libraries and even just, being stressed in education and all the things that we have to do. But find someone that you can talk to and just spend some like quiet with yourselves too.
Very well put. I don't have much to add to that, but when I saw that question, it kind of broke my heart because, I mean, I think I've always like looked up to other librarians across the field, and I've always like wondered like they seem like they have it all together. But then when I actually get to have conversations with other librarians, including those I've looked up to, I'm just like, man, they're burnt out. They're really burnt out too. And no, there's no librarian that does it all, that has all the answers. Who, like, some of us are really good at one thing, and somebody else is like really good at another thing. Just because we're presenting ideas here, it doesn't even mean that I do all the ideas. I don't do all the ideas in this presentation. Like, I try to do as much of them as I can, and like I know that they're good guidelines to do. But we can be so hard on ourselves that like we're not doing it all. None of us do it all. But so just have some grace for yourself, because it's more important that you just continue the race, and you keep helping kids than burning out by trying to do too much and be everything. So everybody who has tuned in to this webinar is already going above and beyond. So yeah, I would just say give yourself some grace.
Yeah. Isn't that true? Yeah. And ask for help. That's the great thing too about being a librarian is we're part of this great network that I think is very unique to education. And there's always somebody there to listen or to that has a story that's similar and ask, reach out and make sure that you spend time with yourself too, reading or walking or doing something. But I think that it's just so important. So many things right now, so it's so important.
Great. That was most of our questions. The other ones were more around the logistics of a few people asking if they can get the slides in PDF versus the Google slides so
Get
they
that.
can download them and print them.
Yep. We will make sure that we get those. So that's great. And you guys feel free to keep asking questions. And one thing that we would love to challenge you to try this week is one new way to advocate for your library and work. And oh, I accidentally put the wrong date. Our next webinar is actually October 20th. And so you have like 3 weeks to try something new. And then you get to celebrate and share what you did. And so maybe it's, a newsletter or talking to your parent group or sharing something on social, like whatever it is, we're going to make sure that we spend a little time next time sharing and celebrating those ideas. And so on October 20th, when we get together again, we'll be able to share those. I wanted to also put in the link to the slides, and we're going to share these too when you guys get the recording of the webinar. We'll make sure too that we have them downloaded so we can share a PDF as well. Like I said, everything that we talked about, if there was a resource, it's linked, and you'll be able to just click on those slides and find it really easy. And then make sure that you register for our next 2 webinars. We have collection and development for impact. I'm so excited about that one. And I'm really excited about the one that we have at the end, running a library kids love. And so these two, you can register at the link on the bottom. And those are coming up at the end of October after ASL. So that will be great. I also wanted to put in, if you have any questions, please feel free to email me. You can find me on social and at my blog. And then I wanted to put my library newsletter in here because I had a lot of questions last time about choice boards and where to find different things that I share that we do. And so you can sign up at the link at the bottom or scan the QR code as well. But before we go, I have to tell who our winner was, and it was Allison Cisco is our giveaway winner today. So congrats, Allison, and I love the books that you won. And so that is really exciting. And it's just really great. I'm so grateful for everyone. And Tim, thank you so much for joining me and for all the amazing things. I cannot wait to see you in a few weeks. And I can't wait to hear you present and just catch up. It will be so fun.
The feeling is mutual.
Yeah, can't wait. But thank you, friends, and just enjoy your week. And please feel free to reach out to Tim and I if you need anything. We're here, and we're just really grateful that you came today, and all the work that you do is inspiring, each and every one of you. So thank you so much. Thanks, Tim.